Good afternoon and welcome to We Believe Digital Newsbreak. So happy you're joining us today. Chris Young with you. Got a whole bunch of stories, 20 different topics to share with you today. Coming to you live from downtown Jackson, Mississippi, where it's about 83 degrees, heading for 84, who knows, maybe 85. Clear skies, nice. It's not that humid out today, and it looked like a really nice Memorial Day weekend is shaping up here in the heart of the Deep South. You know, before I get started, I want to ask the viewers, you know, do you have any thoughts about what Mississippi values are? You know, I'm trying to write a piece about that topic. I'm really interested in learning about what Mississippi values are because, you know, here we are in the political season and people using that term, Mississippi values. Well, what is that? What is Mississippi values to you? Really would like to know what you think about that. Call in the studio. Let us know. 1-800-492-5186. 1-800-492-5186. I'd really like to understand more about what are Mississippi values. So, you know, I focused a couple of different times in the last couple of weeks about these Mount Everest and these Sherpas making these climbs. And so here we go again. A 53-year-old Kami Rita Sherpa, who first climbed Mount Everest in 1994, has scaled the tallest peak in the world twice in the past week, breaking his own record. So he has made the climb now the 27th and the 28th time. 53-year-old Sherpa. You know, accustomed to that very harsh climate. They call it the top of the world being on Mount Everest, and so many people attempt the climb. They have to turn back. They're not ready. They're not conditioned properly. And then so many times, just a few days ago, one of the climbers made it to the top, but didn't make it down all the way without dying. So just hazardous condition. And these Sherpas, you know, these are guides. These are guides that know the terrain, they know the climate, they know the temperatures, they know the impact of, you know, that thin air in a person's lungs and how that manifests and stuff. So very interesting. Something about that just fascinates me, that people take on that challenge to climb up these, you know, jagged peaks to the literally the top of the world. Shifting from so you're over there in Nepal. So now we're shifting to Africa and Malawi. Check this out. The public schools in Malawi kept a 15-year-old from enrolling in their school system for 3 years over his dreads. And his father say Rastafari is a spiritual way of life. Keeping dreadlocks is like we are committing ourselves to a vow before the Most High Creator, that we will serve him in our life without denying his laws or commandments. That's spoken by the father, Ali Nansolo. And but a court over there has intervened finally, and intervened and said that no, he'd be allowed to enroll at least while we further consider all the arguments in this case. So you know, so many people go through troubles, you know, in the United States. There's so much racism, so much prejudice about the way people wear their hair, and not so much about the way white people wear their hair, but the way people that are non-white wear their hair. And people get up in that and think it's an issue and all that. You know, I tend to, I had a long experience with the military, both in uniform and also out of uniform, and it was always a topic of discussion. But it looked like the military finally got a handle on that in a way that respects people's values and respects their personal choices, while also adhering, to a standard of conduct. It seemed like they found a win-win in the middle of all that. The saddest news of all, on Wednesday, Tina Turner, I know you've all heard by now. She had numerous different health issues. She had a kidney transplant. She had a cancer, a form of cancer. She had some respiratory problems, but her people are reporting that when she passed away Wednesday, the long ago ordained queen of rock and roll died peacefully of natural causes. That's what the family is saying. Then you dig a little deeper and you discovered that only 5 months ago, she had 2 sons, Ronnie and Craig, and you dig a little deeper and you find out that her youngest son had died only 5 months ago, and her oldest son had died 5 years ago. So sometimes you would just wonder, the cross that people have to bear, because she went through so much hell with Ike Turner, so well documented and everything, and she finally was able to break that chain, and she just skyrocketed, to the very top, and then to have this tragedy again, in her personal life, with her oldest son passing away, and then just recently, 5 months ago, her youngest son Ronnie. It just hurts your heart how some people can have these crosses to bear in life that it just makes you wonder about things. Why some people get some crosses to bear, other people get other crosses. It's just hard I think about it all the time. She had been nominated for at least 25 Grammy Awards. She won at least 9, and I say at least because there's so many different when you look up from the different sources, it doesn't always match up. One source says she has won 12 Grammy Awards. And her songs so immediately. I mean, how many notes do you need to hear when you know what song that's going to be? Tina Turner. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. Just hurts your heart. And that Proud Mary, easy and rough. Tell me you don't wait for that drop link there where all of a sudden it kicks into high. Tell me you don't wait on it and you're ready to go with it. Just unlike any other performance. I mean, a phenom. We like to do it slow, and we like to do it rough. So up in D.C. today, sometimes I call that the Puzzle Palace, Washington, D.C. A lot of puzzling things going on up in there. So now, today they got these bipartisan group of lawmakers rolled up their sleeves, and they're out there with brooms and mops and rags and things on poles, cleaning the Veterans Memorial. Now, if you've never been there, I've been there numerous times. It's a moving memorial. 68,000 names engraved. There's a system where you can get an imprint. If you know someone's name, you can take that away with you on a piece of paper, an imprint of their name on the wall. But anyway, these bipartisan lawmakers are cleaning ahead of Memorial Day. They're cleaning the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Dozens of lawmakers, according to Jake Tapper on CNN, And when stuff like this happens, I ask myself, what's up with that? Why are they doing that? Well, this one lawmaker, I'm forgetting his name right now. There was two of them that Jake Tapper from CNN interviewed. He said it's good for us to get our minds right. How come you're doing this? How come you're cleaning the memorial? It's good for us to get our minds right, he said. And the second reason, it's good for Americans to see us coming together. The approval rate of the Congress is somewhere around 20%, and that's come up a bit from what it was just 3 or 4 years ago. So I don't know. And you have this. These debt ceiling talks going on now. Many of these people have been released for the Memorial Day weekend and are making their way back to their home districts and all. Different sources report different levels of progress being made on the debt ceiling talks. There's 6 days before June 1st where the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said that, look, this is the danger date right here. And apparently the way it works, if we do go into default, which I pray we do not do, it's going to fall on her essentially to decide what gets paid, what not get paid. So veterans benefits, Social Security, these are all part of the mix of things that could not get paid. So we really, I guess I just try to keep in the back of my mind that they're not going to do this. It's a lose-lose scenario if they do this. So hopefully they'll come to their senses. But they just, in a manner of speaking, you're tormenting the American people when you do stuff like this. And you're supposed to be representing the American people. So why are you tormenting the American people? That's what I want to know. Once again, the feds are investigating New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. Wasn't it just 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, they had him under the gun and he came out of it clean. Real estate, flights, different stuff he was involved with, some doctor somewhere giving him all kinds of money. Well, now the feds are investigating him again, both him and his wife, having received an apartment in D.C., having received a Mercedes-Benz automobile, and having received jewelry. Some people are saying it's ethically wrong, and an investigation has been opened up once again. Democratic New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez. Well, DeSantis launched his campaign on Wednesday, and Trump's still dominating, the Republican Party, if you want to look at it that way. DeSantis did this launch on Facebook Spaces. It was really, really flawed. All the broadcast networks and cable news networks are all over it, talking about how bad it was. And DeSantis saying that if he's elected president, he'll consider pardons of the January 6th critters who have been sentenced. Minneapolis community preparing to mark the 3rd anniversary of George Floyd's murder. We're going to give you a first-hand seat on that if you tune in on Monday evening at 6:30. My co-host for the Sizzling in Mississippi show right here on We Believe Digital, Maati Joan Prim, was there last weekend. She is often called upon to lecture, to give speeches and lecture different areas of the country. And she was up in Minneapolis, and she's going to share a front row seat into what's become of the community where George Floyd was murdered. So please tune in for that. We'd love to have you tune in for that. So that's about it for our first segment. We'll dip out and for a few commercials and come back for the remaining segment.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Okay, welcome back to We Believe Digital. Hot off the press from Mississippi today. We got to tell you that Ole Miss slugger Kemp Alderman has won the 2023 Boo Ferris, the Boo Ferris Trophy as Mississippi's most outstanding college baseball player. Congratulations, Ole Miss slugger Kemp Alderman, winning the Boo Ferris Trophy. Way to go. So, here we are in Mississippi, and today is another day when no leading state Republicans or Republican legislators have held any kind of hearings about the TANF scandal. So, this is just the way it goes here. They don't want to talk about it. They want to leave it to the legal system. They have impeded the legal system. They fire the prosecutor when he starts getting a little bit too close. Remember, Brad Pygott got fired, highly experienced investigator, but once he got a little too close to University of Southern Mississippi and Tate Reeves fired him. So, and along that note, I want to share with the viewers too, that there's a website that I found. Man, oh man. Take a minute and look at this new website up called TANFTate.com. TANFTate.com. TANFTATE. TANFTate.com. The website was put up by a political action committee in Decatur, Georgia, called New South Majority. And oh my goodness, when we read these different articles about the TANF scandal, we get more and more information. Things get revealed, the text, the subpoenas, the freedom of public information requests, etc. And especially Anna Wolf, Pulitzer Prize winning Anna Wolf, dynamic investigative reporter, just on this thing, and we get tiny pieces at a time, but what this website does, it pulls together the entire history of what's gone on, give it to you one little paragraph at a time, one bullet point at a time, about how deeply embedded the current governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, is with this whole TANF scandal. So just want to share that with you. What's that website again? TANFTate.com. TANFTate.com. So this Indianola police officer got suspended, finally, shooting an 11-year-old. Just 2 days ago, they were saying they don't know if it was officer involved. And we all just laugh when we hear stuff like that. But this is an 11-year-old boy that called for help, something going on in his home, to the point where an 11-year-old picks up the phone, calls 911. And then he ends up getting shot by a police officer. Adarian Murray is the little boy's name. Now, he had to go in the hospital for a while to get fixed up and everything after being shot, but they say now he's resting comfortably at home. 11-year-old Adarian Murray. The sergeant, Greg Capers, the one who'd been suspended. Let me ask yourself take a little survey. How many times do you hear of these children getting shot in white households? I really would challenge how often that kind of thing happens when police, the police are doing the shooting in the white households versus the black households. What do you think the survey results would be on that? Mississippi's struggling hospitals are supposed to be getting access from the legislature, more than $100 million in grant funding. So, a lot of those legislators kind of tooted their horns, at the end of the legislative sessions that they did something for hospitals in Mississippi. We have hospitals shutting down. We have specialty care clinics shutting down. We have vast medical deserts in Mississippi where people are having to travel 75, 85 miles to get health care. And but lo and behold, there's some folks in the CEOs of hospitals and the Hospital Association, Mr. Cook, I think his name is, saying that there's a technicality during the legislative session is putting up a roadblock to the money. So these guys made like they were doing a great big thing to help us on that front, but lo and behold, there's some type of glitch involved. This guy intimated that the legislators really didn't understand the issues as well as they thought they would. How shocking would that be? National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. The list is out, the predictions are out, forecasting 12 to 17 named storms this season. 5 to 9 of those becoming hurricane, and 1 to 4 becoming major hurricanes. So that's always a concern for us with the Gulf Coast, just like it is where I used to live up there in the southeastern Virginia, Norfolk and Virginia Beach and Portsmouth and all. So 1 to 4 becoming major hurricanes. Remember the season, June 1 to November 30th. In Gulfport, 2 days ago, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Brandon Presley this was Tuesday rather, not Wednesday, called for a new investigator to scrutinize Mississippi's massive welfare scandal and continue to hammer away at Republican Governor Tate Reeves' lack of support to reform the state's welfare agency. So we're going to hear much more about that. This guy isn't going to let off the gas. And we really need to take a look at this guy, Brandon Presley, that he's found some issues that he's going to press in his campaign. He's a white Mississippian from Nettleton, former mayor of Nettleton, Northern District Public Service Commissioner for many years. I have an interview request pending with his press secretary. I'm looking to hear. I've already communicated with him a couple of times, so we're going to try and lock something in the next few days. And I'm working on some questions for Brandon Presley. What would you like to know from Brandon Presley that could maybe help you decide, to maybe not vote or maybe possibly vote for this Brandon Presley when he goes up against Tate Reeves? Give us a call at the studio. Let us know what you'd like me to ask him. I promise you I will. Sad news on the hospice front here in the metro area. Most hospice services are provided in home, as you know, but in some instances where there is not a home environment, where there isn't adequate care provider support, hospice is provided in an inpatient setting, standalone facilities typically, and the hospice ministries in Ridgeland had been offering many. I just get distracted. Offering services for many years, 30 to 40 inpatient beds available for people who need hospice services, and they've announced that they're closing. So that's not good. So a huge metropolitan area like this, to not have a standalone hospice facility, not good news. Again, hospice providing what they call palliative care, end of life care, not trying to sustain life, advance life as much as it's not curative care. It's just make the person as comfortable as they can be in their final days. And in order to get into hospice, you have to have a life expectancy diagnosis by a doctor of 6 months or less. Staff from the Army Corps of Engineers spent about 4 hours on Wednesday on a stage at the Ag and Forestry Museum listening to what flood victims, politicians, businessmen, and other concerned residents had to say about the controversial proposal, the One Lake proposal. And people have been saying for years they've been trying to boot this thing up. And is this a flood control plan, or is this a real estate development grab? And if so, how would that play out for Rankin County versus Hinds County? And the folks downstream on the Pearl River are not happy about any of this. So but several state and federal agencies coming together to talk about it in the light of day, which is good, and so people could voice their concerns. Still no more news on the story that we shared with you Wednesday about on Sunday. They found a person hanging between two billboards in Columbus. And crazy as it may seem, the authorities said that, it was not clear if the death was a suicide or an accident. So down into Hinds County for just the last couple of minutes of the show. Some JPD news. JPD been in the news a lot lately with Chief Davis resigning, Chief Wade being promoted, taken over, at least on an interim basis, maybe while a search is done. But 3 officers, Avery Willis, Kenya McCarty, and James Land, were indicted on charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter relating to the death of 41-year-old Keith Muriel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Keith Muriel. On this death happened on December 31st of last year, New Year's Eve. And that statement was according to Hinds County DA Jody Owens. So there was lots of tasing involved, and he had some health conditions, and they calling it for two of the officers, they're calling it second-degree murder, and for the other officer, they're calling it manslaughter. So obviously, those guys are done with JPD. If you play the lottery, man, oh man, over at the Jazz Exxon, they sold a ticket that on Thursday night was worth just shy of $405 million. $405,000. A Mississippi Match 5 jackpot Thursday night. A winning ticket sold in Jackson, $405,000. The winning numbers drawn were 6, 7, 8, 17, and 35. Just in case you're listening and you didn't know that you won. 6, 7, 8, 17, and 35. So land is now being cleared for the new Hinds County jail. Creedell Calhoun says the construction is expected to take about 18 to 24 months. So that'll be a blessing for us in many different ways when we get the new jail. And it might be over by now, but the mayor was holding a press conference this morning about city business and initiatives. And I heard some kind of rumor last night about some big event with the mayor coming up, planned for June 28th. So I can't seem to find anything online about it, but want to learn more about that and get back to you. So thanks so much for joining us today. We Believe Digital Newsbreak, and we're going to be back on next Wednesday at noontime. You got a Memorial Day weekend. Hope you enjoy it very much. And again, a reminder about Monday evening at 6:30, the Sizzling in Mississippi show. Going to give you a front row seat to what's going on up in the community where George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis. Take good care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you Wednesday at noon.